The Dark Secrets of MKUltra, a mind control experiment. In the shadows of history, there lies a dark program, one so secretive, so disturbing, that its very existence has been denied for years. MKUltra. A covert CIA operation conducted during the Cold War, MKUltra aimed to develop methods of mind control using drugs, hypnosis, and various psychological techniques. But what started as a government experiment spiraled into something far more sinister. And its legacy? A chilling reminder that the mind can be weaponized. The CIA's MKUltra program, launched in the early 1950s, was designed to break down the mental defenses of individuals, making them susceptible to manipulation and control. The primary tool for these experiments was LSD, which they believed could be used to unlock the human mind and manipulate behavior. But the experiments didn't stop there. Scientists and agents subjected unwitting civilians, soldiers, and even mental patients to horrifying tests. Subjects were dosed with powerful drugs, subjected to sleep deprivation, and subjected to electroshock therapy, all in the name of mind control. One of the most unsettling aspects of MKUltra was its total lack of morality. People were subjected to these cruel experiments without their consent or knowledge. Families were destroyed, lives ruined, all for the sake of a government that was obsessed with gaining control over the human mind. Victims of MKUltra have described experiences of waking up in strange places, having lost time, or even feeling as though their personalities had been altered. Those who survived often found themselves living with a lifetime of trauma, unable to escape the psychological scars left behind. But the question remains, why? Why was the CIA so desperate to control the minds of individuals? In the 1950s and 60s, the Cold War was in full swing, and the fear of Soviet mind control techniques led the US to believe they were falling behind. The idea of using drugs and psychological manipulation was seen as a way to gain an advantage. But as the experiments grew more intense, it became clear that MKUltra was about something far more sinister than defeating communism. The true goal seemed to be the ability to completely break and control a person, to turn them into a puppet with no free will. As the program continued, the lines between experimentation and outright abuse became more blurred. Some of the most notorious parts of MKUltra involved brainwashing techniques, where subjects were subjected to intense psychological stress, isolation, and manipulation in an attempt to erase their identities and replace them with a new, controlled persona. The mind was not just a thing to be studied, it was a weapon to be forged. Then, in the 1970s, the truth about MKUltra began to surface. After years of secrecy, the CIA was forced to reveal some of the details of their horrific experiments. However, much of the documentation had been destroyed, leaving the full scope of MKUltra a mystery. Victims, many of whom were never compensated, continue to search for justice. The government may have swept the program under the rug, but the dark truth remains. MKUltra also left a lasting legacy. The techniques and experiments conducted by the CIA in the 1950s and 60s didn't just disappear. Mind control is a concept that continues to surface in conspiracy theories to this day. From claims of government-backed manipulation of individuals to claims of mass psychological conditioning through media and technology, the shadow of MKUltra looms large. There are whispers that the program's methods have evolved and that similar tactics are being used in modern times. The most terrifying part of MKUltra isn't just what it did. It's the possibility that it didn't end. The fear that mind control techniques are still being developed, refined, and used for purposes unknown to the public is a lingering thought that haunts many. The idea that the government or shadowy figures have the ability to manipulate the human mind, erasing memories, shaping personalities, and bending wills to their desires, is a chilling reality. Even today, as the world grows more technologically advanced, the question arises, what if MKUltra's true legacy is not only the manipulation of individuals, but the manipulation of entire societies? Could the digital age be a new frontier for psychological control? The internet, social media, and constant surveillance all provide an unprecedented level of access to people's thoughts and behaviors. The methods of control used during MKUltra may have evolved into something far more sophisticated and more difficult to recognize. The truth is, we may never know the full extent of MKUltra's impact. The files were destroyed, the victim stories are dismissed, and the official narrative is one of denial. But one thing is certain, MKUltra represents a dark chapter in human history, a warning of what happens when the human mind becomes a weapon. And as technology continues to evolve, the question remains, what lessons have been learned from MKUltra, and how far is society willing to go in the pursuit of power over the human mind?